So today we're going to peek inside what you could call a digital factory. It's a place built for one single purpose: automated innovation. Now, this is a totally closed system. It has its own rules, its own secret sauce of intellectual property, and even its own special fuel source. And the craziest part? This whole complex machine gets switched on with just 3 simple words.
Daily Innovation Brief. That's it. That's the phrase. But these aren't just words you'd type into a search bar. Oh no. This is a command, a very precise key that turns the ignition on a powerful and incredibly specific engine.
So that's the big question, right? What actually happens next? What is this engine? What does it build? And what rules does it have to follow? How on earth does a simple phrase like that kick off such a complex, totally automated process?
To figure this out, we're basically going to follow the entire assembly line from start to finish. We'll start with that trigger phrase, then we'll look at the system's core programming, its brain, if you will. We'll see the intellectual property it's designed to improve, the fuel it runs on, and then finally, we'll check out the finished product that rolls off the line.
Okay, so it all starts with the trigger. A user has to manually type those 3 words, Daily Innovation Brief, and it has to be a perfect 100% exact match. No typos, no extra spaces, no variations. This isn't a casual search, you see. This is like turning a very specific key in a very complex lock.
Right, so once that key is turned, the system's internal logic just takes over, and everything, runs on 2 fundamental policies. The best way to think about it is this. One policy is the engine, pushing innovation forward, while the other acts as these super strong, unbreakable guardrails that keep it perfectly on the right track.
And here they are, the system's core logic, side by side. Policy G2P001, that's the engine. It's the go command. Its only job is to hunt for what are called key betterment points, basically specific, actionable ways to improve the company's core tech. But then you have policy G2P002. It acts as both the brakes and the steering wheel. It's just a strict list of things the system can't do, ensuring that the engine never, ever goes off script.
And when I say these guardrails are strict, I mean they are incredibly strict. The system is literally forbidden from changing its own rules. It can't even try to guess the trigger phrase if you get it slightly wrong. There's no room for creativity in its own instructions. Every single rule is designed for maximum control and absolute efficiency, making sure not a single resource, not a single cycle is wasted.
So, if the whole system is designed to find these key betterment points, you have to ask, what is it trying to make better? And that brings us to the asset portfolio, the core intellectual property at the very heart of this entire operation.
The system is focused on a portfolio of just 13 assets. That's it, 13. But listen, these aren't just small ideas. We're talking about 13 high-value, patent-eligible technologies. These are the company's crown jewels. This whole automated factory exists for one reason and one reason only: to make these 13 things even better.
And here you can get a little taste of what we're talking about. This is serious industry-spanning technology. You've got things like a G2 voter auditable election system, a G2 containerized data center unit, and even a J2 smoke condensation chamber system. This is the heavy-duty foundation the entire process is built on.
Okay, but any innovation engine needs fuel to run, right? To improve those 13 core assets, the system needs data. But here's the catch. It's not allowed to just browse the internet. No, it can only pull from a pre-approved, specially curated cache of raw materials. Think of it like a closed, private library of information.
So this is how the pipeline works. First, it starts with one of those core assets. Then, it ingests those approved raw materials, we're talking documents, photos, audio, all to find new connections. But here's the part that's really clever. Step 3. It actually consults a library of its own past mistakes, of previous policy violations, so it learns what not to do before it even begins to create the final report.
All right, so we've seen the trigger, we've seen the rules, and we've seen the ingredients. So now, let's look at the final product. What exactly rolls off this automated assembly line at the end of the day?
The final output is called a single core asset innovation report, and you really have to pay attention to that word single. The system doesn't generate some broad, sweeping overview. No way. It zooms in, laser-focused on just one asset, and identifies those key betterment points, those specific ways to improve it, using only information from its private, closed library.
And the report itself, well, it's not some creative essay. It's just as structured and rigid as the system that made it. The output has to look exactly like this,
this kind of machine-like format. It even includes a policy score to prove that it followed all the rules. It is a completely data-driven output from a completely data-driven process.
All of this leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. In a system that is this controlled, this automated, where is the real innovation? Is it in the report that the machine produces at the end? Or is the true creative genius actually found in the architecture of the system itself, in the elegant, intricate set of rules that makes this kind of automated innovation even possible in the first place?